Good morning, Mayim. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well. Congratulations on this beautiful film. You must feel so much nachas for it. Um, so I'm curious, looking back, what are some moments that you feel deeply proud of from the making of the film, the post-production up until now?
Um, it's funny because it's funny you mentioned the word proud because that was a really hard kind of concept for me, like as I made the film, because people would say, like, you should be so proud, you're getting a movie. And it's like it wasn't for some reason that word wasn't yet, kind of registering. I think because there was so much work still to be done. When I got to see the movie like proper on the big screen with my cinematographer David Feeney Mosier, that was really the first time that I felt a sense of pride. And honestly, it was more that pride of knowing that the film that he and I, cared so much about and crafted so much, was pleasing to his eye and to mine. A director of photography is an incredibly important part of the movie making process. That's who I set all the shots with. That's who I work most closely with. So to kind of have that sense of satisfaction, that was really the first time I was able to say, like, wow, it feels like something I'm proud of.
Right, right. Another person you worked deeply closely with was Dianna Agron, who I loved the moments that you got to share your Magen David, your Star of David necklace with. I love
Yeah.
that she got to sing a song that was very personal to your grandfather in
Mhm.
Yiddish. Um, some amazing moments in the film that she brings to life that you had written for her. So I'm curious, what was it like collaborating with her?
Um, she did an incredibly beautiful job, and I didn't really even fully get to appreciate it until I saw the final cut. Most of my editing was done on a small screen, and I had a couple opportunities to sit, for Technicolor sessions, like
I
to
don't know what's
to
going on.
see her, full
That's
size. But it makes such
opportunity
a
for that
difference. This
person,
really is a
okay?
movie that David and I
Good.
shot to be seen large. And I think Diana's performance especially really, really comes alive when you see all the details of the things that she chooses, as an actor. She has talked, she was actually, I have a podcast, and she came on and talked about, her father has multiple sclerosis, and that's a progressive condition. And he had a stroke several years ago. This film was very personal for her in terms of the processing, that she wanted to do. And even as an actor myself, I haven't really had that opportunity, to say, like, I want to do a film that helps me do this. But she really, like, in her career, she chooses projects very intentionally. And so I was very flattered that she wanted to do this, and she really, really showed up for it. And it was beautiful, for her. She is Jewish. And so
Yeah.
for her to get to play a Jewish character was very special for her. And also for all of us, she brought so much of herself to it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm curious, has your family seen the film?
My mom, I did not want my mom to see it, not because of the
Mhm.
portrayal of the mom character, because I
Right,
keep reminding her that's like a lot of things are not her. I mean, most things are, Candace brings
right,
her own flair, and, but it's hard. But also just kind of reliving the stages of my father's illness and passing is very, very intense. And I've heard from a couple of my cousins. My closest cousin Rebecca was kind of the only one who got to read the script and, like, see all the kind of stages. So it's definitely heavy, and a lot of my family sees, similarities, like, oh, that's how your dad's bed was set up, when we came to
mhm,
visit and things like that. So there's some details obviously that are, super personal, but it's a very vulnerable and strange thing. Even though it's not an autobiography, there are things that,
right.
people definitely, especially in my family, know about. So there's a sense of vulnerability there too.
Yeah, I know the film really resonated for me on many different levels that I can't get into in 5 minutes, but it really did. I know it did for a lot of people. So I'm curious, what are some of the audience reactions that really resonated with you?
Um, I'm it's there's a lot of subjectivity to this film, like depending on your family, like where you come from, what you're comfortable with. There's things that may be more significant, less significant. I'm always curious to hear what people's favorite shots are, like visually,
Mm,
because there's so much attention that David and I did pay, to setting up visually pretty things,
yes.
and things that were interesting and that also related to kind of where the scene was. Some of the most interesting things that I've heard, though, has been from people who didn't like feeling the set of emotions that this film brought up for them, and to me, that's as good of a review as any, because it shows how everybody's going to process emotion differently. Nathan Nathan chose to step away because he didn't want to feel the things that he felt. And you know, there are people who have watched this movie who say, like, I don't like these people and I don't want to spend time with them. And like, I get it, But to me, it's a very interesting comment, it's a very interesting perspective. And so, this is not a controversial film. It's not a high concept film. It's people talking and living their lives and going through some really difficult things with as much humor as they can. So it's not supposed to be tied up neatly, and so that's actually been some of the most interesting comments.
And I'm going to go back to a comment that you said, that you set up certain shots very specifically, very deliberately. What are some shots that you feel proud of? Again, proud.
Yeah, well, the scene where Dianna is singing in Yiddish, so she and Darren, who's played by Julian Gant, who I work with on Call Me Kat, really, really talented actor, and he brought so much to this role as well. So they set, Eugene up in bed, and then Darren, the caregiver, walks away, and as she starts singing, he turns, and there's this like kind of strange triangle of like the daughter and the father, and then the person who actually has to care for this person, at this stage of life. And he's just listening to her sing, in this language that is not his, and I just like, I love that shot. And he just, it was very specific how I wanted him to turn and went, and it's just like, he nailed it. He really nailed it. And you just have this kind of, triangle, of this complexity. There's also another shot where when they kind of know that the transition is starting, it's Dianna and again, Julian, and then Candace comes in and hugs them. It's actually a hidden shin, like on a mezuzah, is the three of them make like a shin. And so I also wanted to show kind of like, this is the circle of protection that we create in these times of life. It's family, and it's also the person, again, who's kind of caring for that person. So those are two of my favorites.
I also loved, you mentioned triangle shots. I loved where Dustin Hoffman, he thinks he's speaking to Dianna, but he's speaking to Candace. Also beautifully shot.
That's a very, very rough scene. Emotionally very rough scene. But yeah, I love that scene as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for bringing this film to life, to making the art that you bring. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Chag Sameach early. Thank you.
Thank you.